In the 26th century, a group of alien races unites to form a military alliance called the Covenant. They believe that the superweapon ring known as Halo will give them a path to salvation, and they declare humanity an offense to their gods, initiating a genocidal campaign to eliminate all humans. In the year 2552, on the human colony of Madrigal, Juan and her friends walk through the forest looking for a plant. Suddenly, Juan hears a noise and leaves the group to investigate, only to discover that a ship has landed nearby and there are lights shining in a cave. Scared, she runs back to her friends to warn them to leave, but the enemy finds them first and begins to kill them. The group starts running as fast as possible, considering their condition, but gunshots surround them, killing them one by one. Juan manages to hide and throws a flare to alert the people at the insurgent outpost, who quickly prepare to fight. Juan keeps running and enters the outpost just before it closes. She tells her father that the attackers are not the usual Marines, but he doesn't listen and sends her to hide with the other civilians. The enemy arrives at the outpost and opens fire. The main gate explodes and several aliens enter, killing everyone in sight, regardless of the humans' primitive weapons. People die throughout the outpost, and when she can't bear it anymore, she goes out to look for her father. This saves her life, as an alien opens the shelter door and shoots everyone inside. At that moment, a ship flies over and drops the Spartans, an army of genetically modified super soldiers. The Spartans begin to fight the aliens with their advanced armor and weapons, proving to be far superior. Juan keeps running, dodging explosions, and tries to hide in a trailer, but an alien finds her anyway. Luckily, the Master Chief shoots the alien from afar. When the remaining aliens are cornered, the Spartans eliminate them in a single attack, ending the fight. Juan prepares to reunite with her father, but suddenly an alien that was still alive appears and goes after her. Her father rescues her, but the alien kills him with a sword. The Master Chief quickly jumps to eliminate the alien and then makes a report. 20 elite alien warriors and 150 civilians died, leaving Juan as the sole survivor. Afterwards, the Spartans leave to search for the enemy ship. Juan mourns her father's death, but realizing she is alone, decides to follow them. The Spartans enter the cave Juan had seen before, unaware that an alien is following them, and discover that the Covenant was there to excavate something. The Master Chief finds a relic that the aliens left on a wall, and upon touching it, the entire cave lights up, and he has a vision of a family having a picnic while a white dog runs around. At that moment, the Chief's companion pulls him away from the relic, and the illusion ends. Suddenly, they see the alien running and chase it, but it turns invisible and escapes. The alien exits in seconds and passes by Juan, knocking her unconscious before reaching its ship and taking off. Later, at the United Nations Space Command, UNSC, Dr. Halsey convinces her boss, Admiral Perengoski, to let her study the relic instead of storing it. As she leaves, Perengoski realizes that Halsey is still working on a project that was supposed to be on hold and tells her to eliminate it. Halsey enters a room and reveals a capsule with a strange body inside, but hesitates to terminate it. Meanwhile, at the Covenant's command center, the Hierarch visits Makee, the only human in their ranks whom they raised as the Blessed One. She predicted the relic's location and is surprised to hear that someone else was able to activate it. Back on Canaan, she wakes up and panics upon discovering she is on the Spartan ship. A hologram of Dr. Miranda appears and asks her for a favor. She wants her to record a video warning other colonies about the Covenant threat, so they stop fighting the UNSC and all humans can unite against the aliens. However, after spending her entire life fighting government propaganda, Juan refuses to participate unless they agree to pay her with her colony's freedom. Then the Master Chief feeds Juan and discovers that they already knew each other. He was the one who killed her mother. The conversation is interrupted when he receives a message telling him that Juan must be eliminated, and he gets so angry that he decides to turn off the security cameras at the base. Parangoski is furious, so Halsey explains that the relic seems to have restored the Master Chief's memories and emotions. To regain control, she lowers the oxygen to 0 on the ship to kill Kanan, but only to 40% in the Master Chief's suit. This is enough for him to move and open the ship's panels, allowing Juan to survive. Parangoski accepts no more disobedience and orders the Marines to destroy the ship when it approaches. On the ship, Juan takes a weapon and threatens the Master Chief, thinking he tried to kill her. To earn her trust, he removes his helmet and shows her his face, revealing his name is John. Juan agrees to work together and shoots the ship's artificial intelligence to switch it to manual mode, so John can pilot. Unfortunately, a cannon hits them first, and the ship crashes to the ground. Seeing the soldiers chasing them, John decides to touch the relic again. The vision shows him his family and his younger self drawing the relic. At that moment, the relic sends an energy wave throughout the base, causing it to lose all power and deactivate all weapons. However, the ship receives more power, and John and Juan escape. Then a flashback shows John 22 years ago when he was still in training. He escapes in the middle of the night and meets Soren, who is surprised when his friend suddenly points a weapon at him. John no longer wants to escape and reminds Soren that they must respect the rules, but Soren talks about following his dreams and how that place brainwashes them. He also reminds John that he lost his arm due to the experiments. John decides to give him 5 minutes to escape, but refuses to go with him. Back to the present, Juan is surprised to see a glow around the ship, and John explains that they are using a special travel method called slipspace. Eventually, they end up in the middle of an asteroid field, so John uses his quick reflexes to pilot and avoid any damage. When they leave the asteroid field, they find a hidden space station known as the Rubble, which lives outside the law. The locals pull out their weapons and try to block John's path with a vehicle, but he pushes it aside. At that moment, the station's leader tells them to lower their weapons. It turns out to be an older Soren who warmly welcomes John and informs him that there is a bounty on Kanan's head. Meanwhile, the United Nations Security Council has a special meeting to discuss the situation. They want John eliminated, but Halsey opposes Parangoski's wishes and reveals that she has a new program called Cortana. It is the next stage of human evolution and can replace the Spartans' consciousness with artificial intelligence, making them more controllable. Under pressure from her superiors, Parangoski has no choice but to approve a test of the Cortana program. Back on Madrigal, politician Girth eliminates all rebels who had any connection to Juan's father. When a drone passes by, he also shoots it down so Juan cannot spy on him anymore. Afterwards, she and John show the relic to Soren, but when Soren touches it, nothing happens. He decides to introduce them to Red, a hermit who was captured by the Covenant in the past. Upon seeing the relic, Red recognizes it as an important object for the Covenant's religion and explains that they are looking for more pieces in the galaxy. When he touches it, nothing happens, as only the blessed can activate it, so he throws it to John, who catches it. The relic glows in the shape of a ring and emits an energy wave, causing John to have another flashback in which he sees his mother's dead body. When John comes to, Red shouts that the ring is Halo, the superweapon the aliens want to use to destroy humanity. Red believes John must destroy the relic and sacrifice himself to save everyone. John, disturbed by the revelation, decides he needs the UNSC's help to deal with this dangerous weapon, so he asks Soren to take care of Kanan and leaves in his ship. Moments later, he arrives at the base and is immediately arrested while Halsey takes the relic to study it. Another flashback shows the planet Oben, a human colony dedicated to recovering waste. While everyone works, two children hide to read a story together. They see the characters kissing and decide to try it, but the guards interrupt them and chase them until they catch the boy and beat him to death. They start hurting the girl too, but at that moment, Covenant aliens arrive. The aliens push the guard and take the girl. In the present, that girl has become Makey and informs the Covenant hierarchs that she will go to find the relic and John personally. Back with Halsey, she finally awakens the body she kept hidden in the laboratory, a clone of herself. After an existential conversation to confirm that the clone's brain is in good condition, Halsey takes John to the laboratory and convinces him to undergo a special procedure so he can return to the battlefield. Then they insert a needle into the clone's eye to extract its brain, which they then implant into John's head while the clone vaporizes. Once the procedure is finished, Cortana appears as a hologram representing the artificial intelligence. Her future mission is to fully integrate into John to optimize his physical and mental performance. But for now, Halsey has limited her access because she first wants to use him to test the relic. When John wakes up, he doesn't like the idea of having a voice in his head much, but they still proceed to test the relic. As soon as John touches it, it activates and shows him more memories of his childhood, but while he is connected, Cortana cannot access his visions. Later, John tries to search the database for the place of his memories, and Cortana tries to guide him, but none of the names evoke emotions in him like the relic does. Cortana reminds him that his emotional regulator prevents him from feeling things, so John decides to remove it. When Cortana tries to warn Halsey about this, the doctor tells her to guide John so he sees her as a friend and not as a spy. Following Cortana's instructions, John manages to remove the regulator with a knife, unaware that his companion Kai is secretly observing him. Afterwards, John goes for a walk to experience the world and art with real feelings for the first time. Upon seeing a dog, he remembers the relic and runs back to the base to touch it again. This time, he sees his child self drawing the relic over and over again, which angered his father. He also drew a second artifact, saying that both relics went together. His father made him bury something, and when John returns to the present, he is desperate to find it. He remembers seeing ice rings around his planet, and Cortana finds in the database that it comes from Eridanus II, which became uninhabited after a cargo ship brought a virus that wiped out the population. When Halsey finds him, he tells her everything, and they agree to travel together to Eridanus II to get answers. Meanwhile, a patrol ship observes a Covenant ship near them, but to their surprise, it doesn't attack. They establish communication, and a desperate woman asks for help, saying she escaped from her planet when it was attacked by the Covenant. A group of soldiers boards the ship to rescue her, but it turns out to be Makey, who unleashes an ambush of alien worms that immediately begin to kill all the soldiers. She approaches the leader to interrogate him, but he refuses to speak, so she kills him with the weapon on her fingernail. The soldier's ship has nothing useful, so Maki decides to go to Madrigal. On Rubble, Juan sees on the news that Girth is taking control of her home planet, so she asks Soren to let her go fight, but Soren refuses. Later, Soren finds Kanan trying to steal one of his ships, so she makes him a new offer. If he takes her back to Madrigal, she will pay him generously with her family's money. Soren accepts and they leave in his ship. Back at the base, Kai decides to follow John's example and also removes her emotional regulator. Already feeling different, she also decides to dye her hair. Afterwards, Kai and the rest of John's team are called by Miranda, who wants to test the relic while Halsey is away. However, no matter who touches it, nothing happens. Eventually, Halsey and John arrive at Eridanus II and find his childhood home. John begins to excavate immediately, only to find a box with his drawings. Then he enters the house and asks Cortana to use his memories to recreate what the place looked like. As he walks, more and more memories return to him. He sees his child self drawing a lot and finding a large metal structure. The drawing showed an underground cavern that little John entered with his dog. There, the child touched something on the wall and caused the cavern to begin to shake, so he ran out. The next vision showed Halsey going to see John. Back to the present, John asks Halsey why she was there, but she says that trauma probably confused his memories. Then John announces that he remembered where the second object is. They go to the desert and enter the ancient cavern, where they find the other relic on a wall. Meanwhile, Soren and Kanan arrive at Madrigal, where they find wanted posters with Juan's face. They attend her father's memorial, and Juan talks to her dad's second-in-command, only to discover that the revolution is over. People are scared, so they simply follow Girth's orders. Juan is enraged and calls everyone cowards, which attracts the attention of the guards. As people panic and are beaten, Soren drags Juan back to his ship, but unfortunately it has already been taken by the guards. Juan convinces Soren to help her find her aunt, who will have the money to get their ship back. As they cross the market, the duo is attacked by locals, but Soren immediately defends himself and begins to beat them. Before the situation gets serious, Juan's aunt reveals herself, so Juan stays with her while Soren goes to check on his ship. Unfortunately, a merchant informs him that the ship has already been dismantled, so Soren steals his motorcycle instead. Back with Juan, her aunt tells her that there is no money left because her father spent it all on the revolution. The aunt says her dad died for a lie and tells a story. Years ago, before the war, her father visited a group in the desert called the Mystics. When he returned, his behavior was different, and he was sure that his purpose was to free Madrigal. The conversation is suddenly interrupted by an assassin sent by Girth, who quickly kills the aunt. Before he can kill Kanan, Soren arrives and opens fire, but the wounded assassin escapes by jumping out the window. Soren drags Kanan, only to find the guards opening fire on them. The duo gets on the motorcycle and speeds away. They finally reach the desert, but the motorcycle breaks down. Soren handcuffs Juan to the motorcycle and leaves to find an alternative. However, Juan uses a rock to hit the motorcycle and manages to free herself. Later, when Soren returns in a jeep, he finds the motorcycle alone. Suddenly, Juan reveals that she is hidden under the sand and surprises him from behind to knock him unconscious. Back at the UNSC base, Kai reveals her new hair to Miranda, which Miranda found a bit strange since Spartans are usually vain. Then, in the laboratory, Kai is more talkative, and while analyzing an alien body, she reveals to Miranda that she knows part of their dialect, which helps in the investigation. Kai told her about the Spartans in training, where they had to learn to trust only themselves and have no feelings. Later, Kai revealed that her hair looked ugly because she had never dyed it before, and that the transmission they were studying was about Halo, and that's how they ended up becoming friends. Another flashback shows a young Halsey taking a tour of a special school facility on Eridanus II. She saw a young John save a child from falling by simply grabbing him by the ankle, which was very impressive. Then it is revealed that her husband was Captain Jacob, which means Miranda is their daughter. In the present, Miranda arrives at Eridanus, where Halsey is preparing a base to work on extracting the relic from the rock. Jacob takes her to the cavern, where Halsey asks John to stay away from this relic because it is much more powerful than the first. John leaves the cavern and discovers how much Kai has changed, immediately guessing what she did. Kai has no regrets, but John says she is not fit to fight and puts her on suspension. Later, the team tries to penetrate the rock with a laser, but this causes a sound wave that makes everyone flee in unbearable pain. This wave is so strong that it reaches Maki, who is in the caves of Madrigal. She announces that she now knows the location of the second relic. Back in the cavern, the protective barrier around the second relic finally breaks. While everyone prepares to transport the relic, John ignores Halsey's orders and touches it, allowing him to see a memory of Halsey kidnapping him from his home to take him to the Spartan program. Halsey hears John scream and goes to check on him, so he takes the opportunity to demand answers. When Halsey tells him they can talk after retrieving the relic, a furious John tries to attack her, so Cortana shuts down his neural bridge to knock him unconscious. When John wakes up, he discovers they are under attack from a Covenant ship that quickly opens fire and causes the team to lose their best ship. They will have to use Miranda's ship, and while the scientists evacuate, Miranda and Halsey run to avoid the explosions and help them get into the ship. The Spartans go out to fight the aliens who are now invading the camp. A fierce battle begins in which both sides use all kinds of advanced technology and lose many lives in the process. Seeing so much death paralyzes Kai, making her an easy target for the Covenant. John wants to save her, so he jumps onto the alien vehicle to make it crash. Then he proceeds to fight face-to-face with the aliens, hitting them with unusual fury. As John is distracted, an alien manages to reach the relic, and the main Covenant ship takes it before leaving. They leave Makee on the ground, where she pretends to be a freed hostage. Afterwards, Kai and Makee are taken to the infirmary, and John decides to lock Halsey in a laboratory. Then he activates the decontamination system that should expose Halsey to a lot of radiation. While the doctor pleads for her life, John tells Cortana to stop this, but she cannot override the system. At the last second, John releases Halsey and reveals that it was all a test to know Cortana's limits. Later, Makee tells the doctors that she was kidnapped as a child by the Covenant, but refuses to say more unless she can speak with John. The superiors allow John to see Makee, who explains that the Covenant wants the second relic and that they are hiding the first in the Aspero star system. John wants to know why he should trust her, so Makee explains that she is a blessed one, just like him. This upsets John so much that he leaves the room while Jacob has his team begin to track the Aspero system, which has never been explored before. Parangoski asks Halsey for a full report on Cortana and the clones, hoping to hold her accountable for everything. John arrives and takes control of the interrogation, which Parangoski allows as long as he gets Halsey to talk. Halsey explains that she created the Spartan program to protect humanity, but the modifications required children to function. Since no parent would approve of that, she kidnapped the children and replaced them with clones that eventually died from an undiagnosed seizure disorder. Halsey pretends that only she knows this to protect Jacob and Parangoski, but the conversation is also overheard by Miranda, who now considers her mother a monster. A furious John leaves the room and asks Miranda to confirm if Makee can really interact with the relic. He also tells Cortana that he will try to get rid of her. Then he visits Kai to share the truth with her and tells her to recover because he will need her. Meanwhile, Halsey goes to see Parangoski, who informs her that she is off the project and that Miranda will take her place before ordering the guards to remove her. As Miranda begins to test Makee, John begins to feel anxious and runs to ask for a health check on the computer. Suddenly, he has a vision of Kanan that disappears when the computer announces that John needs to see a doctor urgently. Later, when Miranda tries to take control of her mother's laboratory, the computer denies her access and only shows a message from Halsey asking her to meet. Miranda goes to see her and calls her a monster, so Halsey apologizes for being an absent mother. This surprises Miranda so much that she leaves without saying anything, but then it is revealed that Halsey had been acting. She used a special contact lens to get a copy of Miranda's retina and regain access to the Spartan program. When Miranda returns to the laboratory, she has access to the computer, and the test results reveal that John and Makee share unique genetic codes, being 2 in a million. Then John runs to see Makee, telling her that they found nothing at the location she mentioned. John begins to lose his mind, and Makee explains that touching the relic has made him sick. The Covenant had other less powerful stones that also made her sick, but after much training, she learned to control them, and the stones became her servants. If John allows her access to the relic, she can help him find peace. While Halsey secretly regains access to Cortana, John convinces Miranda to let him touch the relic again to test Makee's words. In her room, Makee feels something bad is going to happen and knocks down her guard. However, when John touches the relic, both he and Makee begin to have seizures. John's mind is filled with disturbing memories until he suddenly finds himself in a mountain field with Maki, and the doctors see that their vital signs are perfectly synchronized. John notices that they are inside the halo ring, but when he touches Maki, the vision ends. In Madrigal, Juan crosses the desert in the jeep while remembering her family. Eventually, she encounters a sandstorm, but keeps going until she sees a strange shadow. She leaves the vehicle to make contact, only to be suddenly hit and knocked unconscious. When she wakes up, she finds herself among the mystics and meets the leader, Desiderata, who refuses to show her what her father saw because she is not ready. However, Juan changes her mind by telling her everything she went through to get there. Desiderata explains that an ancestor of Juan discovered a fuel in the desert that now sustains the planet and made him meet a strange being who revealed his true purpose. Then Desiderata takes a flame from that fuel and puts it in a container where it turns into water for Juan to drink. Suddenly, Juan's reality is altered, and she appears on John's ship with him. They land in the middle of the desert and return to the mystic camp where Red welcomes them and announces the start of the fight. To Juan's surprise, she must fight John himself. She tries her best, but obviously John kills her easily. However, this is a vision, and her life restarts so she can try again. Juan tries the fight over and over again with different weapons, but the result is always the same. Eventually, she falls to her knees and asks him what he wants, causing John to remove his helmet and offer her his hand. Then John takes her to the desert where she sees a being that passes through the forms of all her ancestors until it becomes her father. He apologizes for everything and reveals that there is a special portal here powered by the soil of Madrigal, so it is her duty to protect it. When Juan wakes up, she accepts her role as the new protector and takes the jeep back to the outpost where she visits her old home. After taking some old letters about the portal, she hears a strange noise. It's Soren, who has returned because he promised John he would protect her. At that moment, Girth and his men surround the outpost, but as he has a plan, they can use a tunnel to ignite the hydrogen station and eliminate them all while the two hide in the bunker. Unfortunately, the pipe must be opened manually, so Kanan goes down a secret tunnel while Soren keeps the enemy distracted with gunfire before sneaking off to confront the soldiers face to face. Juan reaches the tunnel only to be found by a soldier, so they start fighting, and Soren saves her by shooting the guy. Then they separate to reach the bunker, and while Soren continues to eliminate the enemies, Juan creates a distraction with an alien grenade. Suddenly, Girth manages to shoot Soren and threatens to kill him if Juan doesn't come out, but she finds a Spartan weapon and uses it to shoot the pipe, creating a large explosion. Soren and Kanan manage to get into the bunker just before the flames reach them, but their enemies are nothing but dust now. After the rain puts out the flames, Soren says goodbye to Kanan, who pays him with some money she found at the outpost. Sometime later, Halsey and Cortana notice that John's health has improved since he connected with Maki. John takes Maki for a walk, and Maki explains that the Covenant wants the halo because of a prophecy that says those who are worthy will become gods on the ring. John wants to know what will happen to those who are not worthy and is disturbed to hear that they will be eliminated. Their conversation is interrupted when soldiers take John back to the base where they are watching reports of all the cities the Covenant has destroyed. 11 million people have died, so Parangoski says they can no longer wait for the Covenant to attack them. John agrees and asks for permission for Maki to use the relic so they can find the second one and thus the Covenant base. Then John visits Maki to give her the news. Maki thanks him with a kiss, and they end up having an intimate moment in his bed while Cortana observes. Later, after John falls asleep, Maki decides it's better to be here than with the Covenant, so she removes her fingernail with a hidden weapon. The next morning, Jacob informs Halsey that Parangoski wants her to leave the planet before noon. After he leaves, Halsey uses the special lens and accesses the system to contact Maki. She explains that the UNSC should not have access to the relics in Halo because humanity will use them to self-destruct. She also believes that Makee and John are being used by the government. Halsey swears that she is the only one who can help, so she wants Makee to convince John to steal the relic and take it to her ship. However, when Halsey mentions awakening humanity's true potential, Makee remembers the Covenant's speech about becoming gods and hangs up. Refusing to give up, Halsey contacts John's team, and after saying that the chain of command has been corrupted, invokes Protocol SED, which means the Spartans disconnect and only receive orders from her. She tells them that John is not well and cannot be trusted, so they must capture him, Makee, and the relic and take them to her ship. Kai doesn't like this at all, so Halsey orders the other Spartans to take her down and leave her handcuffed at the base. Miranda finishes analyzing an alien audio she obtained from the ship Makee attacked some time ago and discovers that it is Makee's voice. Their communications are not working due to Halsey's interference, so she has to run to warn the others. John picks up Makee to go see the relic, while the Spartans wait for them at the end of the hallway to attack them. However, Cortana has grown fond of John and chooses to warn him about the trap while disconnecting Halsey from the system. After sending Maki away, John advances and fights his companions, managing to put up a good fight despite not wearing his armor. Soon Kai manages to free herself and joins the battle, fighting on John's side. Meanwhile, Makee runs to the relic room to tell Jacob and Parangoski what happened, but they are interrupted by Miranda, who tells them that Makee is the enemy. The guards immediately take her down and begin to burn her with their weapons, so Makee remembers those who hurt her as a child and manages to touch the relic to get revenge. Activating the relic, she knocks down the Spartans and guards, while Makee and John appear on the ring. Makee says goodbye to him before disappearing. When John wakes up dizzy, he discovers that the entire base has been attacked. Miranda informs him that Makee left with the relic, so he runs to find her, only to find his way blocked by a Spartan threatening to shoot Kai. John begins to explain that Halsey kidnapped and brainwashed them, but the Spartans don't believe him until Jacob appears and confirms the story, admitting that he helped his wife. Miranda hears this and is also disgusted by him. The Spartans agree to help John find Makee, while Kai goes after Halsey. Unfortunately, Makee has already left in a ship, but Halsey is close enough for Kai to jump onto her ship and break the roof. Halsey's assistant hits her from behind, but Kai kills him immediately while Halsey uses the distraction to escape in the emergency capsule. Then the ship crashes near the base, but luckily Kai survives thanks to her armor. Afterwards, John remembers the Covenant prophecy and realizes it's a clue. Using Cortana, he searches for a planet that looks like glass fragments and finally finds it, revealing that a light trick keeps it hidden from human eyes. While the Spartan team heads to retrieve the relic, Jacob's men find Halsey and take her back to the base where she will be executed. However, Halsey suffers a seizure and begins to bleed from her nose, which means she is actually a clone and that the real Halsey escaped. Makee returns to the Covenant and delivers the relics, which will allow the hierarchs to begin the Great Journey. She asks them to take her with them and they agree. However, in private, they discuss how they will kill her after she activates the relics. Meanwhile, John does his best to pilot the ship through the new star system, but the ship begins to fail and a room catches fire. Kai puts out the fire immediately while John refuses to stop, and after many shakes in space, they finally reach their destination safely. The team descends on the planet and easily takes down the guards without activating the alarm, because all the aliens are in the temple. When the two relics are brought together, John and Makee immediately feel each other's presence. John begins to feel dizzy and falls from his hiding place, allowing the enemy to see him. The hierarchs think Makee brought them there and unleash a huge army of Sangheli warriors. A fierce battle begins between the Spartans and the Sangheli. The humans manage to take down several aliens, especially John, who defeats many enemies before going after the leader. Unfortunately, the alien is too strong and soon overpowers him, slowly cracking his helmet. Maki sees this and runs back to the relic, touching it to release a wave that knocks down most of the alien warriors and pushes them off a cliff. Then the relic shoots a beam of light into the sky, revealing the location of Halo, while the aliens kneel before the vision. John approaches Maki, only to suddenly appear in the vision of the Halo ring. While he tries to convince Maki that this is not real and that they must leave, the other Spartans protect John's frozen body from the remaining aliens. But there are too many, and the fire is overwhelming. Suddenly, John notices that Maki is bleeding, and when he returns to reality, her lifeless body falls to the ground. It turns out that Kai had to kill her to rescue John. The relic turns off and the Halo map disappears, so the Covenant could only see half. Soon the Spartans are overwhelmed by the aliens, and everyone falls except John, who refuses to leave without the team and the relics. To avoid being cornered, when he touches it, John asks Cortana to take control of his body. Cortana refuses because she is not sure she can bring him back, and this allows the warrior leader to hit John, sending him flying. As he is about to die anyway, Cortana finally agrees to take control of him. With Cortana in command of such a powerful body, the aliens are eliminated in seconds. The leader is still standing, but Cortana controls the Spartan ship from afar and uses it to take down the leader. Then she collects the relics and escapes with the other Spartans in their ship. Since they don't have first aid kits, they treat their wounds with fire. Dr. Halsey is exiled on a hidden human planet as she is wanted, and meanwhile, Kai goes to check on John. He just moves his head, not knowing if he is alive or not.
If you want interesting movie recaps, like, share, and subscribe to follow us for more movie recaps.